I'm Lily Miller, 34 years old, standing in my spacious living room on the shores of Lake Tahoe. The house is filled with the soft murmur of voices and the clinking of glasses as my family, the same family that once shattered my heart, has gathered for a long, awaited reunion. My husband, Ryan, moves gracefully through the crowd, his presence a calming force. As I watch my mother, Helen, cast a calculating glance around the room, sizing up the luxury that surrounds us, I'm transported back in time. Growing up in a small town in Texas, our family seemed like a typical unit from the outside. We lived in a cozy ranch-style house with a big front yard, but beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. My mother was a force to be reckoned with. She was a social climber, always eager to be part of the town's elite. She had a sharp tongue and a knack for making others feel small. My father, Tom, on the other hand, was a gentle soul, a mechanic who kept to himself. He was often overshadowed by my mother's domineering personality and rarely stood up to her. Then there was my sister, Ava, 2 years older than me. She was the apple of my mother's eye. With her long, golden hair and a natural charm, she could wrap anyone around her little finger. Ava was the cheerleader, the homecoming queen, and the center of attention at every social event. I, however, was the quiet one, more interested in books and coding than in makeup and parties. I remember the day I won my first coding competition in high school. I was so excited to share the news with my family. At dinner, I proudly announced my victory, expecting at least a word of congratulations. Instead, my mother scoffed. "Well, that's nice, dear. But did you see Ava's new modeling gig? That's going to take her places." My father just stared at his plate, and Ava gave me a smug smile. That was the moment I decided to escape. I applied to colleges far away from home and was accepted into Stanford. It was a dream come true. At Stanford, I found my tribe. I met my best friend, Mia, during our freshman year. She was as passionate about technology as I was, and together, we explored the world of software development. Despite the newfound happiness at college, I still yearned for my family's approval. Every holiday, I would go back home, hoping that things would be different. But they never were. My mother's criticism only intensified, and Ava's jealousy became more evident. During my junior year, I met Ethan at a tech conference. He was a brilliant entrepreneur with a vision for a new app that could revolutionize the way people interacted with local businesses. We hit it off immediately. Our relationship grew deeper over time, and I was head over heels in love with him. I was so proud of Ethan that I invited him to meet my family during spring break. The visit started well. My father seemed genuinely interested in Ethan's business, asking intelligent questions. My mother, however, was overly attentive, refilling Ethan's glass and showering him with compliments. Ava arrived late, as if on cue, dressed in a revealing outfit. She flirted openly with Ethan throughout dinner, and I could see the discomfort in his eyes. After that visit, things started to change. Ethan became distant. He stopped answering my texts promptly and canceled our dates. One day, while scrolling through Instagram, I saw a picture of Ethan at a local restaurant in my hometown. He had told me he was on a business trip in New York. When I confronted him, he gave a flimsy excuse about a last-minute change of plans. I was devastated, but still tried to trust him. Then, during spring break of my senior year, I decided to surprise him at his apartment. When I got there, his car wasn't in the parking lot. I drove to his office, and there I learned from his colleague that he had taken a few days off to visit family. But his family lived in another state. Desperate and confused, I drove back home. When I arrived at my parents' house late at night, I heard voices coming from the living room. I peeked in and saw Ethan sitting on the couch with Ava, and my mother was sitting across from them, talking animatedly. "Ethan, you and Ava are a perfect match. Lily is so wrapped up in her computer world. She'll never understand the social side of your business," my mother was saying. Ethan looked uncomfortable, but didn't say much. Ava placed her hand on his knee and said, "Lily has always been so focused on her studies. She'll never be the wife you need." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I stormed in and confronted them. Ethan tried to make excuses, saying he was confused, but I knew the truth. My mother had orchestrated this whole thing. She thought Ava needed a successful husband more than I did, and she was willing to sacrifice my happiness to achieve that. Heartbroken, I left. I couldn't bear to be in that house anymore. I dropped out of Stanford with just a few months left to graduate. I was in a dark place, filled with anger and self-doubt. Mia was my rock during that time. She encouraged me to see a therapist, Dr. Davis, a kind-hearted woman who helped me understand that my family's actions were not my fault. I decided to start over. I applied to the University of Washington in Seattle and was accepted with a scholarship. Seattle was a breath of fresh air. I found a job at a tech startup and slowly rebuilt my life. I made new friends and focused on my career. Then I met Ryan at work. He was a software engineer from Canada with a kind smile and a gentle spirit. Our relationship was different from any I had experienced before. He was patient, understanding, and he truly saw me for who I was. 2 years into our relationship, Ryan proposed. We got married in a small ceremony on the beach, surrounded by our closest friends. We started a healthcare data security company together, and it quickly became successful. Over the years, I had limited contact with my family. My mother continued to act as if nothing had happened, sending me texts about the town gossip. My father sent the occasional message, but he never really addressed the betrayal. Through social media, I learned that Ethan and Ava got married, but their marriage was struggling. Ethan's startup had failed, and they were living with my parents. Then one day, I received a text from my father. He had been diagnosed with cancer and had only a few months to live. He wanted to see me. After much thought, I decided to invite my family to Seattle. Ryan was incredibly supportive. We prepared our beautiful waterfront home for their visit. As they walked into our house, the looks on their faces were priceless. My mother was clearly shocked by our success, and Ava's eyes widened in envy. Ethan looked small and defeated. During dinner, the conversation was tense. My mother tried to regain control, asking about our business. Ryan and I explained what we did, and when we mentioned our company's high market valuation, there was a stunned silence. Later that night, Jason, who had lingered behind, told me, "Your husband seems like a great guy. You've done really well for yourself, Lily." I made a big mistake. I looked at him and said, "Yes, you did. But we all make choices, and you chose to listen to my mother." My father then asked to speak to me privately. He apologized for his inaction all those years ago. He said he was a coward and that he regretted not standing up for me. His words were like a knife to my heart, but at the same time, I felt a sense of relief. The next day, a heated argument broke out in the garden. My mother was berating Ryan for suggesting that multi-generational living could create financial dependencies. Ava suddenly spoke up. "Mom, stop. What we did to Lily was wrong. You manipulated Ethan and me." Ethan then admitted that my mother had shown him fake texts from my phone, making him believe that I was seeing someone else. My mother tried to defend herself, saying she was just looking out for Ava's future. But my father finally found his voice and told her that she had never considered what we really wanted. In the days that followed, things started to change. My father and I had long conversations, and I felt like I was getting to know him again. Ava seemed to have a new perspective on life. She admitted that she had been weak and that she wanted to change. My mother, however, was still reluctant to fully admit her wrongdoings. But she did offer a half-hearted apology, saying that she recognized her methods were too controlling. After my father passed away, Ava filed for divorce from Ethan and moved to Seattle. She found a job and started to build a new life for herself. My relationship with my mother is still complicated, but I've learned to set boundaries. Looking around the room now, at my husband, my friends, and even my family, I realize that life's greatest betrayals can lead to the greatest blessings. I've rebuilt myself from the broken pieces, and I'm stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than ever before.